you're lying next to them. The room is quiet. Too quiet. A few minutes ago, you were as close as two people can physically get, and now, somehow it feels like they've already left. Their body is still there, but their energy isn't. They roll over, reach for their phone, make some joke, ask if you're hungry, and you're sitting there trying to swallow that strange ache in your chest, because the moment that was supposed to make you feel chosen somehow made you feel even more alone. And your mind starts going, what just happened? Why do I feel rejected right after being wanted? Did I ask for too much? Am I imagining this? Why does closeness always seem to make them pull away? Here's the counterintuitive truth. It's not always sex they're avoiding. It's exposure. For a dismissive avoidant, physical intimacy can feel manageable right up until it starts becoming emotional intimacy. And that is where their nervous system hits the brakes. So no, you're not crazy. And no, this does not automatically mean they don't care. You are not failing at love. You are probably standing inside an attachment pattern that makes closeness feel good, then dangerous, almost in the same breath. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand the 7 sex patterns dismissive avoidants fall into, what secretly triggers each one, and how to read what's really happening beneath the surface. Let's get into it. Most couples believe sex problems are about chemistry, about libido, about attraction, about whether the spark is still there. But the real truth is deeper than that. A lot deeper. In relationships shaped by avoidance, sex is rarely just sex. It becomes a place where longing, control, safety, shame, independence, and vulnerability all collide at once. That's the part most people miss. Your partner's nervous system is reading the moment before their mind can explain it. If closeness starts to feel like pressure, expectation, dependency, or emotional exposure, their body may pull back even when part of them genuinely wants connection. So what most couples call coldness is often overwhelm. What looks like selfishness is often self-protection. What feels like mixed signals is often a person split in two. One part craving connection, the other part terrified of what connection will require from them. Not low desire. Not lack of love. Not proof the relationship is doomed. But an attachment system that learned a long time ago that needing people is risky, and being deeply known can cost too much. And here's what changes everything. If you only judge the behavior, you'll miss the fear beneath the surface. But if you understand the pattern, you stop personalizing every shift and start seeing the cycle for what it is. And once you can see the cycle, you finally have a chance to stop feeding it. 1. They want sex more when it feels less emotional. Most couples assume sex and emotional closeness naturally rise together. But with a dismissive avoidant, those two things can actually split apart. The more emotionally loaded the moment feels, the more their system can start backing away, even if the physical attraction is real. This is the deeper truth. For many dismissive avoidants, desire feels safest when it stays in the body and out of the heart. Physical contact can feel exciting, playful, simple. But the second it starts carrying too much meaning, do you love me? Are we okay? Does this make us closer? Their nervous system can register danger. Not because intimacy is bad, because intimacy starts to feel like being emotionally cornered. So the disconnecting version sounds like this. You say, I just want to feel close to you tonight. They go quiet, pull back, then later initiate sex out of nowhere when nothing emotional is being discussed. The connecting version sounds like this. You say, "I want to feel close to you tonight." And instead of disappearing behind distance, they say, "I do want you. I just notice I shut down when closeness starts feeling heavy. Can we slow it down and stay in it together?" That is a massive shift. Because when sex stops being a performance of closeness and becomes a place where honesty is allowed, the walls between you start to come down without either of you having to force them. 2. They get close, then go cold right after. Here's the part no one talks about. Most couples think the hardest moment is getting a withdrawn partner to open up, but sometimes the real crash comes after the closeness, after the good night, after the passion, after the tenderness. The deeper truth is that post-sex closeness can be the most activating part of all. Not the kiss, not the touch, the aftermath, because now the distance is gone. Now the tenderness is real. Now they can feel how much you matter. And for someone with dismissive patterns, that can feel like standing too close to the edge of a cliff with no railing. Their body says, "Back up," even if their heart says, "Stay." So the disconnecting version sounds like this. A few minutes after sex, you reach for them and say, "Come here." They say, "Why do we have to make everything into a whole thing?" And what your brain hears is, "I was good enough for your body, but not for your softness." The connecting version sounds like this. You reach for them and they say, "I notice I get weird right after intimacy. It's not about you. My system gets flooded. Stay close, but let me settle for a minute." That sentence changes everything. Because now the unspoken inner experience becomes visible, and instead of your brain registering, "I'm being pushed away," something in you can finally hear, "He's overwhelmed, not gone," or "She's activated, not indifferent." That's when a confusing moment stops becoming scar tissue and starts becoming repair. 3. They use sex to connect, but not to be known. Most people in relationships think initiating sex is the clearest sign of emotional availability. But most couples never realize that a dismissive avoidant can reach for sex precisely when emotional conversation feels too exposing. This is where it gets really interesting. Sex can become a substitute for vulnerability, a way of saying, "I want closeness," without having to say, "I miss you," "I feel hurt," or "I'm scared you're pulling away." In other words, the body says what the mouth cannot, and for a while that can feel like connection. But beneath the surface, one partner is thinking, "We're reconnecting," while the other is thinking, "This is easier than talking." So the disconnecting version looks like this. You've had tension for days, hardly any real conversation. Then suddenly they initiate. Afterward you say, "Can we talk about what's been going on between us?" And they answer, "Why ruin the moment?" The connecting version looks like this. They initiate. You reconnect physically. Then afterward they say, "I wanted to be close to you tonight, but I also know we still need to talk. I don't want sex to be the only place we meet." That is not a communication hack. That is emotional maturity. Because sex is powerful, man. But it was never meant to carry the entire emotional weight of a relationship by itself. And when that pressure comes off, your partner stops feeling like a puzzle to solve and starts feeling like a real person you can finally reach. 4. They pull away the moment they feel wanted too much. And this is the one most couples never figure out. A dismissive avoidant can sometimes feel desire most strongly when there is space, mystery, or control. Then feel it drop the second they sense expectation, dependency, or too much emotional hunger from the other person. The deeper truth is brutal, but important. For an avoidant nervous system, being wanted can feel good. Being needed can feel dangerous. Those are not the same experience. The minute sex starts to carry an unspoken demand, prove you still love me, show me I matter, fix the distance between us, their system may shift from desire into defense. So the disconnecting version sounds like this. You say, "We never have sex unless I bring it up. It makes me feel unwanted." They hear, "You are now responsible for regulating my worth." And they shut down even harder. The connecting version sounds like this. You say, "I miss feeling chosen by you. I'm not asking you to perform. I'm telling you I want more connection between us." And now their system is more likely to hear truth instead of pressure. That difference is everything. Because most couples escalate the panic. They push harder, they explain more, they demand reassurance. But what actually creates movement is not more pressure, not more fixing, not more chasing, but a tone of honesty that doesn't trap the other person inside your pain. And when you do that, the dynamic starts feeling less like pursuit and withdrawal, and more like two people finally turning toward the same wound together. 5. They can feel highly sexual, but struggle with tenderness. Here's the part that confuses people the most. Most couples assume passionate means intimate, but those two things can live miles apart. A dismissive avoidant may be bold, skilled, intense, even adventurous sexually, and still struggle deeply with tenderness, eye contact, slowness, affection after, or emotionally exposed touch. The deeper truth is that intensity can sometimes feel safer than softness. Intensity is loud, it has motion, it gives the nervous system something to do. Tenderness is quieter, slower, more revealing. It asks a person not just to perform desire, but to remain present inside it. And for someone used to staying self-contained, that can feel almost unbearable. Their inner experience can sound like, "I can do passion. I don't know if I can do being seen." So the disconnecting version sounds like this. They're fully engaged during sex, confident, present. But when you touch their face slowly after and whisper, "Stay with me," they joke, deflect, or get out of bed. The connecting version sounds like this. Afterward, instead of disappearing, they say, "The slow, affectionate part is harder for me than the sex itself, but I want to get better at staying." That kind of honesty is huge, because now tenderness stops feeling like a test they keep failing and starts becoming a practice of emotional presence. And that's the shift that turns a relationship that feels physically charged but emotionally lonely into one that finally starts to feel like home. 6. Conflict kills their desire faster than they can explain. But here's what nobody explains. Most couples think unresolved conflict lowers desire because people are angry. Sometimes that's true. But with dismissive avoidance, conflict often kills desire because the nervous system never fully comes back down. Their body stays guarded. Their chest stays tight. Their emotional doors stay half closed. and sex starts to feel less like connection and more like exposure on top of existing overwhelm. That's why they can go from warm to withdrawn so fast. Your nervous system in conflict is like a smoke detector, bro. It cannot always tell the difference between emotional pressure and actual danger. So once the alarm is on, desire often disappears beneath the sound of self-protection. So the disconnecting version sounds like this. You've had a fight 2 nights ago. Nothing really got repaired. You reach for them in bed, they stiffen. You say, "So now you don't even want me?" Their inner world is screaming, "I still don't feel safe." The connecting version sounds like this. You say, "I don't think this is about sex. I think we still feel far apart from that argument. Can we repair that first?" And now the moment becomes less about rejection and more about restoring safety. This isn't a trick for avoiding conflict. This is what it looks like when two emotionally mature people understand that desire needs safety the way fire needs oxygen. And when repair comes before pressure, the relationship stops feeling like a place where your body has to brace all the time. 7. They seem more drawn to distance than to available love. This one hurts. And honestly, this is often the most shocking pattern of all. Most couples assume that if someone struggles sexually in a committed relationship, they must just have low desire overall. But that is not always what's happening. Sometimes the desire is still there. It just shows up where the emotional risk is lower. Fantasy, porn, flirting with unavailable people, exes, emotional distance, novelty, space. The deeper truth is not flattering, but it is deeply human. Unavailable desire can feel safer than available love. Why? Because longing at a distance does not demand surrender. It does not ask for consistency. It does not ask for aftercare, accountability, or emotional presence. It lets a dismissive avoidant feel the heat of wanting without the vulnerability of being deeply met. The inner monologue is often something like, "I want desire without the weight of being needed." So the disconnecting version sounds like this. They seem flat with you, distracted, unavailable. But suddenly they feel energized by attention that costs them nothing emotionally. And you're left thinking, why do they light up for fantasy and shut down with real love? The connecting version sounds like this. Instead of hiding behind distance, they admit, "It's easier for me to feel desire when there's less emotional pressure. Real closeness asks more of me. I'm trying to learn how not to run from that." Not because they're evil. Not because you're not enough. Not because love is dead. But because intimacy without healing often becomes a mirror, and not everyone knows how to keep looking. And when that truth is finally named, you stop blaming yourself for someone else's protective patterns and start seeing clearly what real healing would actually require. So if you've recognized your relationship in this video, here's what I want you to hold on to. This is not about labeling someone as broken. It's about finally seeing the pattern clearly enough that you stop calling it chemistry, bad timing, or just how they are. When you understand these dynamics, you become less reactive, more grounded, and far more capable of protecting your own heart without abandoning your hope for connection. These aren't just sex patterns. They're intimacy patterns. They're nervous system patterns. They're the invisible cycles that decide whether two people keep drifting apart or start becoming emotionally available enough to build something real. And if this gave language to something you've been living, stay with this channel, because this is the work here. Less guessing, more clarity, more truth beneath the surface. Real intimacy begins the moment desire stops being a hiding place and becomes a place where two people are finally brave enough to stay.